Good morning, boys and girls. It's Miss Christie.
And Miss Carol.
We're so happy you're here today. What's our topic, Miss Carol?
Bunnies.
Bunnies, they hop all over.
They do. Sometimes you see them in your backyard.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes
they bring a basket.
Oh my goodness. Happy Easter.
See you next week. Our first story this week is Rhyming Dust Bunnies by Jan Thomas. Hello. We are Ed, Ned, Ted, and Bob. We rhyme all the time. Hey, what rhymes with car? Far, jar, tar, look. No, Bob. Look does not rhyme with car. What rhymes with bug? Rug, hug, mug, look out! No, Bob. Look out does not rhyme with bug. What rhymes with dog? Hog, log, fog. Look out! Here comes a big scary monster with a broom. Bob, no. Look out, here comes a big scary monster with a broom. Does not rhyme with anything, really. Okay then, but run for it! Ah! Good call, Bob. Okay, so where were we? What rhymes with cat? Sat, pat, rat, vacuum cleaner. Whoop. Bob, what rhymes with how do we get out? The end.
Muncha, Muncha, Muncha by Candace Fleming. For years, Mr. McGreely dreamed of planting a garden. He dreamed of getting his hands dirty, of growing yummy vegetables, and of gobbling them all up. But never once he tried it until this spring. This spring, by golly, I'm going to plant a garden. So he hoed and he sowed and he watched his garden grow. Lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes. Yum, yum, yummy, said Mr. McGreely. I'll soon fill my tummy with crisp, fresh vegetables. But one night, when the sun went down and the moon came up, 3 hungry bunnies appeared. Tippy, 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 pat! Muncha, muncha, muncha! The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his gnawed sprouts, he was angry. So he built a small wire fence around his vegetable garden. There, he declared, no bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat! Spring hurled, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his nibbled leaves and gnawed sprouts, he was really angry. So he built a tall wooden wall behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. Humph, he huffed. Those floppy ears will never get over it. No bunny can get into my garden now. And the sun went down and the moon came up and tippy, 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 pat! Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, his gnawed sprouts. He was really, really angry. So he made a deep, wet trench outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. Ha! He snorted. Those puffy tails can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny can get inside my garden now. And the sun went down, and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 pat! Dive, paddle, splash, splash, splash. Dig, scrabble, scratch, scratch, scratch. Spring, hurdle, dash, dash, dash. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his chomped blossoms, his chewed stems, his nibbled leaves, and his gnawed sprouts, he was furious. So he hammered and blocked and sawed and stacked and drilled and filled and trapped and locked, and he built a huge, enormous thing before the deep, wet trench, outside the tall wooden wall, behind the small wire fence, all around his vegetable garden. I've outsmarted those twitch whiskers for sure, he exclaimed. They can't get through it. They can't get under it. They can't get over it. No bunny, no way, no how can get into my vegetable garden now. When the sun went down and the moon came up, and tippy, 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 stop, the three hungry bunnies looked and smelled and touched the huge, enormous thing before them. And tippy, 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 pat, the bunnies hopped away. The next morning, when Mr. McGreely saw his untouched vegetables, he was happy. I beat the bunnies, he whooped, and he did a jiggle and a wiggle and a victory dance. Then he climbed over, jumped across, squeezed between, and crawled until he reached his vegetable garden. Ah, sighed Mr. McGreely. At last, smacking his lips, he picked and pulled up lettuce, carrots, peas, tomatoes, and with his basket overflowing, he reached inside for something yummy. Muncha, muncha, muncha. The end.